Good afternoon, everybody. I guess I should say good evening, as this is another episode of Between the Ears. I'm Schuyler Callihan, and my co-host is, as always, Christopher Hall. Yeah, a couple days ago, we opened up our first episode of the season, talking a little bit about everything with West Virginia getting camp started. But today, we're going to start to kind of break some things down. You've probably seen some of this stuff in written form, but we're going to bring it to you here and actually have a discussion about it today. We're going to talk about the freshmen that you need to watch for. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the underrated players that you're going to need to keep an eye out for. So let's go ahead and just kick it right off. I'm going to go ahead here, Chris, and I think probably be the take the easiest one off the board here. And I'm going DayDay Farmer, wide receiver, extremely fast, and can get separation very early in the routes. I don't know that he's going to be a big playmaker this year. I don't know if he's going to have a Jaheim White type freshman year or CJ Donaldson type freshman year or even a Traylon Ray type of freshman year for that matter. But this kid is a stud. And I think he's going to be somebody that Nico and the future quarterbacks are going to really lean on in the future. I think Ric'Darious Farmer, a.k.a. DayDay, is definitely somebody that they're going to find a way to get the ball to every now and then and let him do his thing in the open field.
Yep, he's definitely one of mine to watch for. Quick, very fast. Yeah, I can see him. They've had to rely on freshmen so many years. If Rodney comes in, he's a playmaker. Let's find ways to get him the ball. Kind of what you can do with Farmer here a little bit. A lot of guys, there's a lot. You can mention 5 guys easily in the wide receiver room, right? That could all have breakout seasons, and you bring in Jaden Bray. Like, there's a ton of guys, there's a ton of options. So he might fall, to the wayside a little bit. But if these guys don't step up, all of a sudden you have this freshman. If Rodney Gallagher isn't making plays in open space, you could see Farmer coming in and saying, all right, let's see what you got. So he's going to play, I think, regardless. Gallagher's not going to play every snap at that spot. So he's going to have his opportunity. So, yeah, he's definitely on it. So on mine as well. But I think this one, I thought this was the one you were going to go to. I thought this was the easiest one with Zae Jennings.
Yeah, that was going to be the next
step. Just recently mentioned him. Seems to be adapting very quickly. Just needs to learn the playbook.
Played quarterback in high school.
Yeah, Aubrey talked about just need to be disciplined with his eyes. That's exactly what you're kind of expecting from a freshman. But here's a kid. Aubrey's obviously going to play a lot of snaps, but he's going to rotate. Already kind of like where their kind of vision is with this defense in the secondary. Got a lot of guys, a lot of veterans. I mean, you're talking about Jacoby Spells coming in. Obviously, he's banged up, but he's a junior, and this is what you want from your juniors and these DBs that you're developing. Next year, that'll be his room, right? As long as he continues to progress the way he is, he's going to be the guy next year. So I do like what I'm hearing from Zae Jennings. Obviously, haven't got to see a lot of him since it's so early in fall camp, but I think he's the one that he's a true freshman. He was already on 2 deep over the summer. So, yeah, probably expect him to play pretty soon.
Yeah, Zae was who I was going to go with originally, but I wanted to get DayDay out of the way. My next one is going to be on the defensive side, and this has been one of my favorite recruits to watch on film. Really good kid, too. We had him back on the National Signing Day show that we had here on our YouTube channel. If you want to go check that out, you can go back and look at it. But that's Obi Onwuka. This kid is extremely talented, very long, has a good reach, very quick off the edge, and really, in my opinion, Chris, like, this is kind of like the first true kind of edge type guy that they landed out of high school that really has a high ceiling to fit that Spur spot. So I'm interested to see what he can do there. Obviously, you have Ty Bradley, you have Ty French, so you have those 2 guys to rotate in and back and forth. But outside of them too, I don't really know that they have much there. This is a position that they're going to have to recruit going forward, but I think Obi's got a chance to make a name for himself here as a freshman.
Yeah, I'm going to go one that may emerge late in the year, and that's Israel Boyce. Kind of down the depth chart. But I think he may get his 4 games in. I think he can get his 4. They're allowed 4 games.
Take the red shirt.
Obviously, I think most of these freshmen hopefully we'll get it against Albany, right? That should be their one game. And I may
Poor,
say even
poor
some of these
Albany.
freshmen may get a lot of PT during Pitt as well. But Israel Boyce is just a kid that I think he can play his way up a little bit and get some playing time. I don't think he's going to be merged as a star. Like I said, I think he can get his 4 games in. Unfortunately, injuries are part of the game, right? So, but I think he can find his way. I think he's a versatile kid that can probably play maybe a little free as well. See what happens. See how they kind of rotate. But I think the kid's just way too talented to leave, to not try to progress him, get him in the game. But I think that's one that, hey man, maybe watch out for Israel Boyce. Of course, right
Yeah.
now, I mean, an unofficial depth chart, he's probably third on the depth chart right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think with the way some of they may have to scheme some of their opponents this year. You might have some more dime coverages in some of these games. So watch out for Israel to maybe make an impact in some of those.
I'm really torn here. I had one name written down here, but after hearing Neil talk last week, I got to just kind of throw these two together, and that'd be Elijah Kinsler and Makai Byerson, because it feels like, at least according to Neil, one of those two guys is probably going to step up and be a part of that D line rotation. Those are big bodies, and I think Kinsler particularly, he can fill out and maybe eventually be somebody that they throw down inside, depending on how much body mass that they feel like they can get him to and play at a high level. But those two guys, Kinsler and Byerson, are probably, I think, the only other guys that I see that can actually see the field, make somewhat of an impact. We'll get to kind of like my honorable mention here in a minute, but that's the round out for me.
Yeah, I think my last one is Nate Gabriel.
Yeah,
Big
I like
big
Nate Gabriel.
body, big body.
Huge.
Someone that's obviously freshman down the depth chart. Crazy to say for a defensive line at West Virginia right now. Your nose, possible kid is 3 deep, but they went 3 deep last year. Don't know if they will, just kind of see where he goes out. 315. That's a big body in the middle, to not use. So be interesting to see where his progression is throughout the fall and if he can get on the field. Maybe another guy they just throw in 4 games throughout the season to keep a red shirt on him, but it may come at its need, right? So
Right.
it might be a guy that might be a 3 deep and may not get a ton of snaps this season, but it's someone that you may see every game throughout the year.
And then my honorable mention here, I wasn't even going to do this, but I feel like I at least should mention their names. Two guys that are probably not going to play very much, but probably would given if they had different circumstances. One, Kyle Altuner, who I think is the best recruit in this 2024 class, had a lower body injury, so he's going to be out for, what did Neil say, like the first half of the season potentially. So probably not going to see much time there, but he may be, again, one of those guys that can supply them with depth at center and get a couple of games in, spell, Brandon Yates or whoever's in there at center at the time at the end of the year when things are banged up. And then the other guy is Dior Hubbard, running back, who I think has really got a bright future here. But I mean, when you're in the same position room as CJ Donaldson, Jaheim White, and I know everyone forgets about Jalen Anderson, but I mean, he's stuck around. He's made a little bit of progress. He is their number 3 running back right now. I don't know that Dior is going to have a true path to playing a whole lot this year, but he's somebody that I definitely think will have his mark on the offense sooner than later.
Yeah, I probably Gabriel was my honorable mention on that. I don't really have one, but I do like Clay Ash. It's another running back. I believe he's a walk on, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway,
Hmm.
um, he played a lot in the spring for a variety, mainly keeping guys fresh. Didn't have everybody on campus, but that's a kid I think down the road that if he does stay at West Virginia, that could just be that spunky
Preston
kid.
Fox-ish type player.
No, I don't think that. There's too much other talent, but that's a kid that really he may end up transferring and getting to play somewhere else.
Yeah.
Just because everyone that's ahead of him. But he did do a lot in the spring. He doesn't have overwhelming speed, but a little guy that maybe depending on how he progresses later throughout his tenure at West Virginia could be that kind of third down back option. Something
Well,
I could see Jalen being this year.
Speaking of that running back room, I didn't even have this on my mind, but I mentioned it to you before the show. What about another walk on, Murphy Clement? I mean, there's no way in hell that, no, I shouldn't say there's no way, but very, very unlikely that he's going to see the field as a freshman or maybe in the foreseeable future. But I mean, Hudson Clement's brother, you know that the talent's there. He's bigger than I thought he was. I just looked on the roster. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, what they have him listed at. I don't know if that's being generous or not, but we've heard some good things already about him he was here in the spring, correct? And or at least in the summer for sure. We've heard some things about Murphy. Tremendous player in high school. I don't know what his future looks like, but just a long shot that I'll throw out there too. So, yeah, that's going to do it for our Freshman to Watch episode. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. You can follow us on X at SI_WVU. And for Christopher Hall, I'm Schuyler. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another episode.